Hello, it's Dennis here, an UpWork top-rated freelancer, and I see quite often that a well-written cover letter and a polished profile can be easily spoiled by the wrong behavior during the interview stage and lead to another rejection and wasted money. So, in this video, I want to tell you my tips and always to follow steps that I use during the interview stage to beat figuratively my competitors and receive great offers. I've been gathering and using them for years from various sources, so if you just stick till the end of this video, you receive all the little tricks and approaches absolutely for free, and they will save you a lot of your connects that you have to purchase now, by the way. So grab your cup of anything and let's begin. There are two ways to get to the interview stage. The most common one is to apply for a job and receive an answer from your client. As soon as you receive any message from the client, congratulations, you are at the interview stage. And the second one is to receive a direct invitation from your client. And here, as soon as you accept and answer to, congratulations, you are at the interview stage. And there are no huge differences at the interview stage itself, except that don't be too encouraged by a direct invitation. It doesn't mean that you have already received any privileges or have already received an offer. And the first tip is to be polite and say thanks. One small thank you for replying or sending your invitation can make you look much better with a minimal amount of efforts from your side. Just be polite all the time. And I also encourage you to be authentic and actually yourself. Don't be afraid to approach your clients as normal people. Use the style of writing that you prefer the most and that suits your personality. I think that you have already noticed that I like emojis and I send them. And it's completely okay. It's not about how you say any idea, but more about what you want to give and what you want to get. And here you have to be aware if you are always searching for shortcuts or smartcuts. If you don't like both your job and communicating with your potential clients, well, they can feel it. And I just do not encourage you to keep working as a freelancer, because every interview you get, and you may get a lot of those, will be another unpleasant experience you have to go through. So honestly, for me, it brings enjoyment and a little bit of competition. I truly like that. So if you also feel that way, just keep in mind that watching this video till the end is another great smart cut to take. And the next tip is to keep in mind that it's okay to say no. You are working not to please your client, but to do work you are proud of, and if that means pleasing your client, and in most cases it does, then great, but you are not obligated to do anything you don't want to do because of money, and this leads us to having enough of money buffer for that. Most financial advisors suggest to have from 3 to 6 months of your regular expenses in your savings. I would pump those numbers a little bit, since your financial freedom will boost your self-confidence and ability to negotiate and will make your position much stronger. Try to save along the way from 4 to 6 or 7 months of your regular expenses, and be sure that you have an emergency buffer to buy new gear if you need to. In most cases, it's your laptop, but this might be your guitar or microphone or software or just literally anything. And make a list, calculate this sum and put it away to some high interest savings account, additionally to your living buffer. Don't forget, you cannot make your money without that equipment, and having that amount of money not invested is not the wisest move from a perspective of a regular person, but you are your own employer and you definitely don't want to screw yourself. In one of my next videos, I will tell you my story, how I almost ended my career due to such an issue. So subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss that out. And another rule worth following is to try to avoid intermediate people between you and the real client. Ideally, the person you speak with should be your end beneficiary, and he should be personally interested in the job you are discussing. But sometimes there are some proxy companies that might need some help. It's completely okay as long as you treat them as your end client and they are aware of that. I mean that if their client didn't pay them, it shouldn't affect you, and if you did your job well, of course. If you found out that you are or will be working with a proxy company, try to explain it to them as soft and clear as you possibly can, and of course make sure that they are responsible people and aware of it. Simply refer to some previous unpleasant experience you had before, and that's it. The next thing I always do is having a plan before starting negotiations. You should know exactly what you are okay or not okay with before writing your answer. For example, I'm a software developer and I write tests to my applications. I believe that this is crucial, but some of my clients may not be okay with that. Well, it's their choice and it's absolutely okay, but from my side, it's non-negotiable and I just do not proceed if my potential client is against that. Yes, this is a short-term loss, but in the long run, this makes me more productive, less stressed, and happier overall. And furthermore, dropping your potential client is the last thing to do. It's much better to persuade your client and to convert a lead into a real client. For this, you have to do the next step, and this is to smash that like button if you haven't done already. And for this, you have to do the next step, and this is to appeal to the client's problem and describe the solution of the problem rather than speak about some abstract qualities of good and bad approaches and practices. Let me provide you an example. Imagine that you are my potential client. You need a simple program and you don't want to pay for tests. You may say something like, I will test on my own. And the wrong way for me to answer to this request will be something like, you are wrong and stupid. This improves maintainability, considered to be a good practice, makes refactoring easy and less challenging. From the whole speech, your client most likely understand and remember that he is wrong and stupid. And not all the people are equally used and like to be wrong. And if freelancer says that, no problems, you test your program on your own, I'm okay with that, then he has more chances to receive an offer. But I could answer that, of course, obviously you may test it on your own, but this takes your time and you cannot test everything every time I make a change in the codebase. Tests will give us an ability to add new features without breaking previous ones. For example, the payment gateway might be broken just because PayPal might change something due to new European regulations, whatever. Instead of hearing about it from our angry clients, losing money and time, we could be ahead of all the changes. Obviously, an explanation like this can ensure that your client will change his mind, but it definitely increases chances of such an outcome. Because you actually care about your client and you think forward about his system or project for him. And I think that you have already noticed that this kind of answers requires more time and effort to write. And this leads us to another tip, and this is, don't be afraid to invest time into the interview. The more person overspend time into something, the more likely he will try to get something out of it. Your client may start thinking in terms of, I've already spent too much money on this freelancer and now he is the most knowledgeable among other candidates due to that, and it might be the decisive factor of choosing you over other applicants. But always, 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 always respect your client's time. You should do your best to encourage him to spend as much time on speaking with you and discussing details and that kind of stuff with you, but never, ever, ever drag that process out. For example, the worst way would be to ask something like, okay, tell me everything about your system, or even, what do you want? But please give me a brief overview of your system, task, whatever, and after ask a few well-thought questions, and it's a much better way to take. The next rule is to ask good questions and tell how you understood the answer. This gives your client a feeling that you really care, and you should, about the job. So if you don't understand something, it's completely okay. But the same question could be asked in two completely different ways. For example, I didn't understand about two payments. Or, do you understand correctly that by two payments, you mean implementing two payment gateway services, for example, Stripe and PayPal, that will appear at the checkout page and give your customers choice? The second question tells your client that you really thought about his problem and it's insufficient amount of information from him instead of you being lazy or sluggish. And the last tip is to give something tangible first. Try to give as much of a pre-offer input as you possibly can. Treat your potential client as if you have already accepted a great offer from him. We want to do this because it's the easiest way to make your client start working with you and getting a feeling of it. Obviously, it should be great. In my area, in most of the cases, I suggest to start writing a better technical assignment that he has and incline that he will be able to use it with any freelancer if he wants to. And then last but not least, if you really like the client, he likes you too, but he's a little bit unsure because you might have not a very long work history, suggest a trial task, day or week. By the way, week is max from my point of view, with a good discount. Most of the time, for me, it's half of my hourly rate, but don't suggest this as a first thing to do. This is like the last resort and for people that you really like and really don't want to miss due to their uncertainty. Saying this upfront will make you look cheap and insecure. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more helpful videos like this one. Comment down below if you have any questions and or suggestions. Please do not hesitate to do so. I'm reading pretty much all the comments, and if you have any ideas about next topics to talk about, please let me know. Thanks and bye.